Welcome to the Shatterproof Entrepreneur. I'm Scott Reeb, your host. Welcome back. Today, we are thrilled to have Eric Vogel with us. He's a multifaceted entrepreneur and co-host of the On Purpose Investor podcast. I was a guest a few months back and had a great time, and I'm looking forward to picking Eric's brain this time and getting some insights on financial stuff and on how to live your life on purpose. Eric, welcome to the show.
Scott, so good to see you again. So great to be on your podcast. Congratulations on launching it. And I look forward to being part of probably one of the earliest seasons of the many hundreds that you'll produce.
Thanks, Eric. I appreciate it. Well, man,
Absolutely.
What have you been up to? You've got, you guys have a lot going on. You do the podcast with your wife. Is that correct?
That is correct. And we are in the future going to be shifting a little bit. My wife is actually, she has kicked off a business. She is a CFO. But part-time for a lot of different businesses. Her business is called Insight CFO Services, where she does fractional CFO business guidance and financial guidance for small businesses in that $3 to $10 million range of business. So she is kicking off that business and has great partners in that business. And she is removing herself from the podcast. But hey, I keep her right here with me every podcast I do because I love my wife very much. Yeah. And I'm super excited to support her on her journey. And I'm continuing to do the On Purpose Investor podcast. And I have a new co-host coming on in a couple of months. So excited to kick it off with my good friend and mentor way back in the day, Dr. Josh Boyd. He'll be joining us in the next couple months. But what's keeping us busy right now? We have a real estate portfolio that keeps us busy. We have two God blessed us with two wild boys. We have a 3-year-old and a 1.5-year-old that keep us on our toes. And we have some Airbnbs coming up that we're renovating. I just got back from like a 3-hour drive to the mountains of North Georgia to go check in on those. And then I've also, it was a bad ride, but it was great to see the project. And then we are launching this summer a great program called Level Up, where anybody, no matter what you do, no matter what you want to do, we can help you level up your life through a program that we've developed that is including a lot of financial tools and life intention setting journeys for you. One part of the program of Level Up is called Dream Life University, and this is the course manual you'll get if you sign up for Level Up this summer. And it's a way to go from, I don't know what I'm doing with my life. I listen to all these podcasts. I want to do better. I want to do something new. It's a way to take action immediately and start transforming your life.
Yeah. And you know a lot about pivoting or transforming your life, right? Because you, as we talked earlier, your background, your education is in music. And
that's right. I spent 7 years as a high school band director. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's kind of start there at the early part of your journey. How did you go from high school band director to writing books and creating programs, having the podcast and real estate investing?
Well, it was an accident. Yeah, no, it was an accident. It was a big accident. I was changing jobs and I had to move out of one house to relocate to a new job where I got a new teaching job, and I couldn't sell my house. They said, you don't have enough equity to pay the closing costs. And I'm, of course, a very broke teacher. And I can't shell out some money. So I turned it into a rental like my real estate agent told me to. And little did he know, he changed my life with that little advice that day, because I put it on Facebook Marketplace and rented it out to the first guy that had a handful of money and rented it out. The worst experience I've ever had in my life. I was a horrible landlord. And then I met my lovely wife, Tiffany, and she said, Eric, you suck at real estate investing. You're not a great landlord. Let's figure out how to do it better. So we dove in. We shut everything about our lives off for 18 months straight. We didn't watch a single bit of TV. We didn't listen to a single bit of radio. All we did was consume everything real estate investing. 3.5 years later, we found financial independence through real estate investing. And she left her job. I left my job. We haven't looked back.
Wow. For 18 months, you shut off the world and focused on everything. That goal.
We didn't go to family functions. We didn't do anything. When I tell you, we didn't do a thing. We had groceries delivered to our house once a month or so with just like loaves of bread, peanut butter and jelly, some Pop-Tarts. We lived just bare bones and shelled out all the money we had into studying how to be a real estate investor.
So if you could do it over, would you do it that way again?
Absolutely. Every time. Every time. But what I would do different is, Scott, I would take action sooner.
Okay. Yeah, that's an interesting insight because I see a lot of people do something similar like that, like spend 18 months, 2 years trying to learn all about this thing they want to do, whether it's real estate or start a marketing agency or whatever it is. And
Yeah.
instead of starting it,
Yeah.
because there's something about starting and getting some momentum and some motion going that I think makes a big difference, even in while you're learning that craft.
Yeah.
But 18 months, that's some discipline. How,
It was wild.
how long had you been married when you started that?
We actually started our business before we got married.
Okay. Wow. That's really impressive that
And
early in a relationship that you guys could do that.
yeah, our honeymoon, this is the craziest part, Scott. Our honeymoon was going to Jacksonville, Florida, and then Orlando and the Okefenokee Swamp in a 20-foot travel trailer that I pulled behind my pickup truck. And when we got back to where we live, we parked that camper behind a project house that we were working on. So as soon as we get back from the honeymoon, we parked it behind a house we were working on, and we never went back to the house we that my wife lived in. And so we turned that into a rental. Like the day we left for our honeymoon, we're like, hey, what? You know what? When we come back home, that's just going to be a rental. That's an income producing property now. We're never going back. We're going to park this trailer behind this house that we're working on, and we're going to move it from this house to the next house, to the next house, to the next house. And we did that for 6 houses in a row. We moved the camper, moved the camper, moved the camper. We lived in a 20-foot, 200 square foot box of a trailer with 2 dogs until we found financial independence.
Wow. Yeah. If you're listening or watching this on video, one of the major keys to being successful in business is that you have to do whatever it takes. And sometimes whatever it takes is living in a trailer behind the houses that you're buying and rehabbing to make that happen. And if you're not willing to pay that price, small business may not be the thing for you. You've
That's
got
right.
to be willing to pay that price, and you don't always know what the price is going to be when you start.
Yeah, absolutely. I was riding with a friend today, well, a student of mine, and I think I'm his mentor. I don't know. I feel like I'm too young to be a mentor, but he took my course, Stream Life University, and he went from no properties to 6 properties in about 18 months. And he's just mimicking my journey, and I love it. But on the way up to Helen this morning, he was talking about, I wish I'd taken action sooner. I was like, I keep telling people that, you got to take action sooner. And it just came to me, and I'm pretty sure I heard it somewhere, and it was probably Zig Ziglar, where it came to me. It's like, the cost of inaction is far greater than the cost of taking action and failing, because
Yep.
at least when you take action and fail, you have something to learn, and
Yeah.
something to learn from and recover, tenfold.
Yeah. Zig used to say, anything worth doing well is worth doing poorly at first. And
Mhm.
so it's like, just get started. You don't get better until you get started.
That's right.
Reading every book and watching every course isn't going to make you better. It's going to give you knowledge that you have to go implement. So get started, get the information
That's right.
available to you so you can follow good information or get a good coach or mentor, and then just start walking it out. That's been my path. Yeah, on the kind of the paralysis. I mean, I've been talking about getting into real estate now for over a year, and
Mhm.
I've looked at a few properties, but I haven't done anything with it because I don't feel like I know enough. So I definitely understand what you're saying.
I studied for 5 years to get a music education degree. And the first year of teaching, and this goes for any profession out there, the first year of teaching, I learned more in the first 5 days of teaching than I ever did in 5 years of studying on how to be a teacher. And that's
Yeah.
how it goes in real estate. That's how it goes in any profession. You can study your butt off for as long as you want to, but until you do it, you're not actually going to learn.
Yeah. So if someone wants to get into real estate investing, and you mentioned Airbnb, so let's just say short-term rental, what's the first thing they should do?
Oh man, you gotta start studying. That's the first thing.
Okay.
But before you start studying, and I'm gonna redact what I just said. That's a lawyer term, right? Redact.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm going to redact what I just said. You need to know why you want to do it. You need to know what the end result is going to look like, but not only look like, but feel like. And you have to envision yourself in that final spot, right? And that's what I teach in my course. And that's what I realized that I and my wife lacked when we got started was we didn't envision what our life would look like as a successful person. And so I would say the first person, anyone interested in investing in real estate or starting their own business or doing anything, is they have to visualize what it looks like when they are successful. And that is what gives you the fuel in your fuel tank to actually make it to there. And then the second step is really figuring out which niche you want to follow. And once you pick a niche, then you need to study your butt off. And you need to get out there and you need to volunteer with people that are highly successful in that field and give away your time for their knowledge. So there are tons of real estate investors out there. And I guarantee you, within a 20-minute Google search or a 20-minute Facebook search, you can find someone in your general area that is doing something along the lines of what you're trying to do. And then you just need to shoot them a message and say, I want to give you 10 hours a week, 20 hours a week of whatever it is you want. I don't care if it's just taking out trash or turning a room or vacuuming the floors, whatever. I will give you my time for the exchange of just a little bit of your knowledge. Stop going around and asking people to pick their brain. That is the most insulting thing you can ask a highly successful person. Instead, trade your labor, your time, which they lack, give your time for their knowledge. That is the quickest way to start learning.
Hey there, it's Scott Reeb, cutting in for a quick moment. If you're enjoying the podcast and finding value in our discussions, you're going to love the Access Plan. It's designed for entrepreneurs like you, offering unlimited legal advice without the worry of high hourly fees. With the Access Plan, you can get the legal support you need at a flat monthly rate so you can focus on growing your business with confidence. Head over to reeblaw.com/access to learn more and join Access now and get busy shatterproofing your business. Now let's get back to our amazing guest. Wow. Yeah. So you need to get the why really solid in your head, and what that will, and then what the end game will look like. And I think a lot of us have trouble visualizing that, and
it's hard.
Yeah, I think it's like a part of our brain that we don't normally use. And so it's really, I think that's some work. It's not an easy thing, but man, it's worth it if you can get into granular detail about what your life will look like 5 years, 10 years from now, if you move forward with the plan to invest in real estate or to start some other business. That's time very well spent.
Yeah. And, this is another Zig quote of, you'll never climb the ladder of success wearing the clothes of the failure version of you or the poor version of you. So you have to absolutely climb that ladder of success wearing the clothes of that successful version of you. But how do you know how that successful version of you even dresses unless you visualize what it is?
Yeah. And so your program takes you step by step through how to do that?
It does. Absolutely. There are 5 pillars that we guide you and walk you through in our program to get you from here is how I am today, and here is how I can help you visualize where you can be in the future.
Wow. So if someone wanted to get started with that program, what would they do?
Well, the first thing to do is to head over to onpurposeinvestor.com/ebook and to download a free copy of the book my wife and I wrote called The Pathfinder's Journey. And that is a book wrote in story format of how this young couple, freshly married, Charlie and Eliza, they moving into their house, they're living the American dream. She is a school teacher, he is a firefighter, and they are making their way through life. And then this crazy, unruly, I'm kidding, he's not unruly, but there's this wild neighbor down the street that interrupts their life and changes their life forever. He introduces them into the world of real estate investing. They go have dinner at his house. They see pictures on his walls of all the places him and his family have traveled, and they just want to figure out, how did you do it? You seem so young to have so much. How did you do it? And he teaches them everything he knows.
Nice. Okay. Well, that is a great offer. So everyone should take you up on that. And we'll make sure and put that into the show notes so it's easy to find that link and get there. If someone wanted to work with you, like you said, you drove with someone that was you're mentoring. Do you do actual coaching for real estate investing?
Absolutely. Yeah, I do offer coaching sessions, not necessarily like into the depth of different niches. I am very open to helping people discover which niche might be right for them because I do have a general understanding of most, I would not say all, but most of the niches out there when it comes to single family rentals, multifamily rentals, um, let's see, Airbnbs, rent by the room tactics, arbitrage, and there's so many things out
Yeah.
there that you can do to get into real estate investing.
Where do
It's
you
just
focus
you
most
got
of
to
your
pick
time?
that avenue.
Where are you?
It
What are
used
you
to
investing
be
in?
Yeah, it used to be single family rentals up until about 2 years ago, and then we shifted over and started buying properties to rent by the room. This is a tactic and just a way to help the housing crisis out there of affordability. A lot of people can't afford to rent a one bedroom, one bath studio apartment at $1,500 a month and pay their utilities on top of it and try to make their way in life. So
Yeah.
there was this a group of people that came together and said, well, what can we do? Well, we can take houses that are 3 bedroom, 2 bath, and we can add more bedrooms to it by closing off the living room, closing off the dining room, and making those into bedrooms and rent those out for a very affordable price for $140, $150 a week and include all the utilities in that price. That way they can get a leg up and start actually investing their money and start, not being scraping by all the time. So we have several properties that we set up like this that we rent by the room. And I love interacting with those tenants and just seeing how living in our rooms have helped shift their lives. I've seen people crawl out of debt. I've seen people buy their first house. They come stay with us for a little while. They get their credit sorted and then they go buy a house. I've seen people really climb the ladder out of poverty by living in one of these rent by the room, situations.
Wow. So you're hands on the management side still.
I am, and I love it. I'm a people person, and I really love to interact, and I love the opportunity to help people transform their lives. You know, when you're interacting with tenants, there's always someone learning something. Either you are teaching the tenant something or the tenant is teaching you something. And we all have something to gain from each other. I've learned many things from my tenants, and I hope my tenants have learned many things from me. When I go and change an air filter out, I always find an opportunity to ask them, how is life? How are things going? How can I help you? I'm not able to help in the sense of reducing your rent or by paying for your lawn service, but I can absolutely help in the sense of how can I guide you on your next decision in your life to help you achieve the next great thing for you. And so I take the opportunity of self-managing to interact with people because at the end of the day, God calls us to be builders of his kingdom. And what better way to do that than to enter the homes of these people and see how they're living and know what's going on and asking and showing care and showing grace and just doing what you can to help them. And
Yeah.
there's not an opportunity that goes by that I don't interact with a member that lives in one of our homes and invite them to our church.
Yeah. And you're an unashamed Jesus follower. It's all over your social media. And I love that about you. And so when did you, or maybe it's always felt this way to you, realize that that was a ministry field for you?
I did not know until I started doing it. Until I didn't really know until I discovered that real estate is a problem-solving business. That's when it
Mhm.
really shifted for me. Uh, why do you buy houses? Well, I buy houses to generate cash flow to get me and my family closer to our why. But
Mhm.
that's not the end all be all. The end all be all is helping someone elevate their station. If you help enough people get what they want and what they need, you will get what you want and what you need. And
That is
so,
a good point.
therefore, why not take the opportunity to interrupt people's lives in the sense of adding value to them in whatever way you can? A Thanksgiving ham can go a long way. And what I mean by that is, you pick one tenant that you see struggling the most. Maybe they have a lot of kids and they're struggling to keep food on the table, and you've already done the most you can in keeping the rent low. But how big of a deal is it if you show up on their front doorstep, a week before Thanksgiving and say, hey, I don't know if you have Thanksgiving plans and you can use this any way you want to, but here's Thanksgiving dinner. I've taken care of it for you. All I ask from you is that you share this gift with someone else in any way you can, whether it's the message of gift giving or the message of trying to help someone in some way. And you don't have to monetarily help someone. Words of affirmation go a long way. If you just tell someone, have a great day. If you just tell someone, I love you, I care about you, I hope you are well, I want you to join me at church. Anything you can to share the gift of giving. And giving, like I said, doesn't have to be monetary. It could be your time, could be your energy, could be words.
Wow. So, yeah, this kind of went in a direction I wasn't even thinking it would go. Yeah, you have such a servant's heart. It's obvious in just a few minutes of talking to you. I'm sure it is to everybody else as well. I've interviewed lots of real estate people, and I don't think I've ever had anyone give me anything more close to that answer about how much they care for their tenants and seeing that as an opportunity to serve people. That's extraordinary. And I mean, yeah, I think there's no doubt that you have a calling to do that, and I'm sure you were probably a great band teacher as well. But man, what a great calling, and what a difference you're making in the lives of people. That's really, really amazing. You said you had a couple of boys. So how old did you say they are?
They are 3 and 1.5. So they're
Okay.
3.5, 1.5, like almost 2 years apart.
Yeah. So I've got two boys. Mine are 3 years apart. They're 22 and 25. So I've been where you are. It's been a while. It's a fun time of life because the 3-year-old, he's a little person now, and you can really interact with them in a real way, in that different way. And then with the 1-year-old, you can still hold them and do all the stuff like that. And so that's a cool time of life. So really enjoy it. The rest of it's good too, but that's a very special time when they're that age. Yeah. And that's and what an example you guys are setting for them. So we've talked about your wife's business, and I want to make sure to put that in the show notes too, because CFO work is so important, and a lot of our clients need that stuff. So you have your real estate investing business. She has that business. Do you have any other businesses that you're involved in?
We do some syndications. We just invest in them. They're not our business.
Okay.
But we put our money in different places where we think it can hedge growth and hedge inflation, for the sense of wealth building for the next generation. And our goal is to not pass down money, but knowledge, so that they can have a better planet life than I started out with. Some kids, and because their parents worked their way out of the dugout. But I tell you, Scott, I worked my way from the parking lot to first base because I showed up to the baseball game with no gear, barely clothes, ragged shoes. I grew up really poor. And the fact that I sit here today as a successful entrepreneur is a testament to hard work and dedication, but most importantly, is a testament to sacrifice. People are so unwilling to sacrifice for the good of themselves, and let alone the good of other people. So if people can adapt this mentality of sacrifice without the opportunity of any gain, that's when they'll see the biggest growth in their life. Giving is greater than receiving. We've heard that over and over through our lives. If you haven't heard that, you've been living under a rock, right? But the idea of giving without receiving seems so foreign in our, current,
culture,
modern age. And it's just so sad because, everybody wants something in return. But if I promise you, anybody listening right now, if you find an opportunity in the next couple of days to go sacrifice your time, because that doesn't cost you anything. right? Go sacrifice 10 minutes, go sacrifice an hour, give something to someone. I guarantee you, you know a mama out there that has a newborn that would probably absolutely love for you to come over and wash the dishes. Or you probably know some elderly out there that would just love for you to go take them out to lunch, or bring lunch, or just sit with them and listen to their stories. By giving, you have no idea what's coming.
Yeah. And if you feel stuck in life right now, if you're listening and that's where you are, you feel stuck, go serve somebody, go give your time, go give someone something, and it will change your outlook, your perspective, and it will change your position. And when you do that, things will open up for you. And don't do it for that reason, but just go. Don't just sit there in despair. Go serve somebody else, and you'll find that that will get you on the road that you need to be on. Man, Eric, this has been a blast. I'm so glad you came on the show. Before we wrap up, how could people reach out and connect with you?
Absolutely. Scott, thank you for asking that. I would love to interact with people. You can send me a DM on Facebook or Instagram, and my handle is just like that little / thing, I think it's called.
Wonderful. Well, as we close, I'd like to offer you a blessing, Eric. May the road rise to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face. May the rain fall soft upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hand. Ladies and gentlemen, if you've enjoyed this as much as I have and gotten some value out of it, please like and subscribe. And until next week, stay shatterproof. This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be taken as professional advice. While I'm your host, Scott Reeb, and a lawyer, I'm not your lawyer, and this podcast does not establish an attorney-client relationship. The views expressed by my guests are their own and not mine, and they may not even reflect the opinion of the Shatterproof Entrepreneur Podcast. So we strive to provide valuable and accurate content, but we make no representations as to the accuracy, completeness, or suitability of any information to your particular situation, and won't be liable for any errors or omissions for the application of them. Always consult a professional or in the respective area that we've discussed before making any personal or business decisions.